If you're a veteran planning to buy a home in 2026, you need to know this upfront. Most VA home buyers delays don't happen because of the house. They happen because the buyer never confirmed eligibility correctly or they waited too long to get their COE. And then you're under contract. The clock is ticking. The seller is nervous and everyone is scrambling. So in this video, I'm going to break down who qualifies for a VA loan, what the COE is and what it actually shows, the most common eligibility mistakes that causes delays, and what to do this week if you really want to buy in 2026. I'm Cathy Sabater. I served in the Navy and now I work as a mortgage broker focusing on VA home loans and first-time homebuyers. I built this VA homebuyer roadmap playlist because I'm tired of veterans getting bad information, getting pushed into the wrong loan, or losing deals because someone treated VA like it's too complicated. Let's start with what VA eligibility actually means. When people say, "Am I eligible for a VA loan?" they're usually asking two different things, okay? One, the VA benefit eligibility, which is service-based eligibility, and two, loan qualification, income, credit, debts, residual income. VA is the only one that has residual income. This video is about benefit eligibility and it starts with one document, your COE, your Certificate of Eligibility. What the COE is in plain English is this. It's VA's way of saying, yes, you have a VA home loan benefit eligibility. It also shows things like whether you've used a VA loan before, whether your entitlement is currently tied up, and sometimes special details lenders need to confirm your case correctly. This is what's important. The COE is not the same as a pre-approval. You can have a COE and still not qualify financially. And you can qualify financially but be delayed if your COE eligibility isn't confirmed correctly. So who usually qualifies? Well, most people who qualify fall into these kind of buckets. A veteran who meets service requirements, active duty service members, depending on time served. National Guard, reserve members. This is where a lot of people get tripped up. You also have eligibility surviving spouse in certain situations. And let me be blunt. Guard and reserve is one of the biggest, I thought, as far as qualified situations because the rules can be more more documents are needed. And the quick online pre-approval doesn't verify it correctly. So don't rely on my buddy said I qualify. Get it verified early. Well, how do you verify that? Well, you can get your COE. This is what I tell buyers. In most cases, you can get your COE or your lender. We get it faster, right? So we can get it done for you, or you can use the VA online portal or other official channels depending on your case. But here's the key. Speed depends on clean documentation. If your service history is straightforward, this can be quick. If your situation is more complex, it can take longer. And that's why you want to do this before you're shopping seriously. Here's what I want you to do this week if you're buying in 2026. If you're active duty or a veteran, get your COE confirmed and tell your lender if you used your VA before. If you're guard or reserve, tell your lender up front so they can request what's needed before you're under contract. And if you're an eligible surviving spouse, say that up front too, because eligibility confirmation can be different. This one step prevents everything until obviously there becomes a problem. Or just contact me and I'll get your COE and or let you know what is needed to get it completed. Now, the three biggest COE eligibility issues I see: The most common that can cause delays is your prior VA loan not closed out cleanly. Entitlement is tied up. Sometimes a veteran used a VA years ago and assumes it's reset. But if the entitlement wasn't restored or the record still shows an active tie up, your next purchase can get complicated fast. Number two, guard and reserve eligibility. There's a lot of confusion with that because if you're a guard or reserve, don't assume the VA is automatic just because you serve. Many guards and reserve buyers are eligible, but eligibility often depends on specific service activation history and the paper trail. The eligibility surviving spouse, what you need to know is if you are a surviving spouse, because many don't know this, you may have had a VA home loan benefits available, but the documentation is different. And it's another reason to get this done early. There can be extra steps to confirm eligibility, so the worst move is waiting until you're already shopping and you're under contract. Here's what matters for you as a buyer. We confirm it by pulling your COE early, and we get the right documents lined up before you're under contract. If you're a guard or reserve, be ready to provide documents that support your service history. And depending on your situation, that could include things like your DD 214 if you were activated or guard reserve specific documentation. The point isn't to memorize the form, okay? The point is COE first so we don't find out later. The other issue that we find is that the paperwork has a mismatch. The names don't match, the dates don't match, the discharge status, or missing records. Small stuff can turn into big delays when you're in escrow. Well, let's do a quick myth versus fact. Myth. Ready? If you served, you automatically qualify for a VA loan whenever you want. Fact. You need eligibility to be verified and entitlement confirmed, especially if you used your VA before. Let's do another one. Myth. COE means you're approved. Fact. COE only confirmed benefit eligibility. Your qualification is separate. Here goes another one. I'll deal with my COE after I find the house. Fact. That's exactly how veterans lose time or potentially lose the deal. What I recommend before you talk to a realtor, if you want to buy in 2026, here's what I want you to do before you start touring homes every weekend. Step one, confirm your COE early. And if entitlement is tied up, right, because we'll help you with that. And then gather your basic pre-approval, isn't sloppy. Let's get those pay stubs. Let's get some income documents. Let's get your bank statements, ID, a list of some of the debts that you have, because the strongest offer isn't just the price, it's certainty. What to ask, this is interesting, what to ask a lender to make sure that they're really knowledgeable about the VA loan itself, okay? Can you confirm my COE and explain what it shows? That should be the first question. If I used my VA before, can you tell me how entitlement restoration works? And if I PCS or need to move later, how does occupancy work so I don't accidentally violate guidelines? If they can't answer those clearly, keep shopping. Now, here's the deal. Once your COE is confirmed, the next thing that matters, most especially for 2026, is entitlement. Because entitlement impacts whether you can buy again, whether you can keep one home and buy another, and what purchase price makes sense without surprise. Now, that's going to be video number 3 in this playlist, VA Entitlement Explained, plus remaining entitlement, plus VA loans. If you want a VA plan for 2026 based on your certificate of eligibility, most importantly, your payment target, comment VA plan or use the link in my description and go watch the next video once I post it. Because entitlement is where most veterans get the worst advice. I will see you soon.